One thing I always say is work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, then you may be working harder. So let's change that. Download the app, link your accounts where you can manage your income, track your expenses, and project your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download Solo and begin to work smarter, not harder today. Link is in the description. All right, let's get back to it.
Well, going on insurance. So we talk about what's going on with Uber's insurance, and then moving on. California had a change in their insurance recently when it came to a couple of bills that had passed, basically eliminating a lot of the requirements when it came to the thresholds that they had to have. So no $1 million. It's now like $60,000 and $300,000 when it comes down to the claims and stuff like that. So they don't have to have the larger policy, which in turn means that they can save money on insurance. So recently we said, what's going to happen? Well, David Risher came out and said, well, if we see some insurance relief, drivers are going to benefit. Okay. How are they going to benefit? He didn't get into it. We assume you're going to pay more. You're going to keep rates at the same, and you're just going to pay drivers more. Or
that's what he said.
You're going to benefit drivers by keeping the pay the same, and the rider is going to benefit because they pay less, and that means that there's going to be more take. The take rate is larger to the driver, even though not really much has changed. So, how do you mean that? Well, we got some numbers now that it's been done. Let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, well, that's the article we talked about. Remember when Uber and Lyft did a deal in California, and in exchange for possible unionization of drivers, they got a huge break on insurance rates, underinsured and uninsured motorist rates, and that's David Risher. We talked about that. I remember that segment. He said, we're going to save $200 million in insurance costs just from California. You know what I mean? And I asked that to, remember what Jeremy Bird was on? I asked that to him. I go, are you guys going to really pass on the extra 200 million or some extra earnings to the drivers? It was like, yeah, blah, 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 whatever he said, right? So, okay, that's David Risher, September 8th, 2025. He said that. He said, we're going to pay drivers more. I'm like, okay. Well, our good friends at Gridwise just came out 4 days ago. I love Gridwise data because they have tons of data, okay? They said, here it is. Insurance costs fell, Chris. Good. Obviously, they got a good deal. Should have, of course. Good. Insurance costs fell, but that does not mean drivers saw the benefit. How come? In the West, the rideshare insurance expense fell 20.6% from Q1 2025 to Q1 2026, just like David Risher said. He said that, right?
Yep.
That's 200 million. So if Lyft is saving 200 million times 4 for Uber, it's probably like $1 billion, right? So over the same period, platform fees rose 29.1%. Platform fee is the take rate, by the way.
No, I know that.
Driver base pay, but look at how much more drivers made.
Yay! So for $100, you made another $1.20.
1.2%. So hold on a second. So their insurance costs went down 20.6%. Out of that, drivers got an extra 1.2%, which doesn't even keep pace with inflation. Period. And we had the Middle East bullshit, and then gas prices soared. So there goes that 1.2 plus another 5. So that's the story I'm looking at this week. So I emailed them directly, and I said, Ryan, let's look at this. Their insurance costs went down 20.6%, right? Drivers' earnings went only up 1.2%. So there is a difference of 19.4%. I'm still decent at math. Where did that 19.4% go? I said, can you look at rider fares and can you see if the riders' fares were lower by 19.4%, or was that just clean into their pocket? What do you think?
By what Ryan had put there, it went clean right into their pocket.
That's one of the reasons I'm buying Lyft stock. But there's more. Anyway, so drivers, there it is. You guys are making 1.6% more because they lobbied heavily and passed insurance reform. You have less protection, by the way. Now you have. I shouldn't be laughing about this. Your uninsured and underinsured motorist went down to $60,000 from $500,000. Please don't get in a crash. Okay, don't. Especially if it's not your fault. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. But don't get in a crash. Period. With Uber and Lyft. Is you will not get anywhere. But I'm gonna ask this to Lyft because Jeremy is not there, and Jeremy is there, but he's the head of something else now, head of global expansion or whatever. There's a new sheriff in town at Lyft, which I met a couple of weeks ago, as you know. She's very, very nice to me so far, and I will.
Is she coming on the show?
Maybe, I don't know.
I need a yes. I mean,
well, we just
David
met.
David Risher's been lying. He said he was going to come on.
We just met, Chris.
Jeremy was going to be on every quarter, and he came on twice.
Yeah.
Out of 2 years.
But they've done well. How about Uber? Nobody has come on from Uber.
That is true. So Lyft is a little better, but here's the So here's the reality. Did drivers benefit?
No. 1.2%.
And you really didn't benefit at all because as you had said, inflation. So actually year over year, when it comes to the cost, the dollar that you actually made, you're sitting at about a negative 4% there.
Absolutely. 100%.
So your take home pay actually decreased 4%, about 4% with inflation and all that good stuff. Actually, being a rideshare driver, you're right. It's going to be a lot more now that gas is spiked so high over the last several months.
Yeah.
And it's starting to come down. We're getting a little bit of relief, but has it come down quick enough? No, it hasn't. So
for David
it never
Risher,
does.
So for David Risher, the question remains. I will send this when this segment is out. I will send them the video. David, what say you? Okay, your insurance rates went down 20.6%, as you would have liked, and that's part of the 200 million savings. Okay, but drivers' earnings only went up 1.2%. And once I get the confirmation from Ryan that rider fares did not go down commensurate to that 20.6%, then I am sure the money went into the pocket.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that drivers saw a little benefit when it comes year over year, but not when you factor in inflation. You lost.
Yeah,
reality is you lost. The expense fell. I'm sure that passenger payment probably went down 1.2% too. And they're like, oh, it came down. It came down a little bit. And then insurance costs came down a lot. And what happens when insurance costs come down quite a bit? Well, then their take gets to get extraordinary amount. So that was a giant, massive payday win for them. Lucky for them. And then, I love how it coincides. This Lyft 70/30 changed into the Lyft cap fee almost right around the same time. Brilliant. And what ended up happening was now they're taking the 30% and capping it before all these different expenses. So they can be like, oh, we could take, up to 30%. So if passenger pays $100, we take up to 30% before we have to give anything to you as the driver.
I agree.
So
I agree. So even if you have a W-2, by the way, people with benefits and stuff, adjusted to inflation, your income actually has decreased from last year to this year, because inflation is not 2.3% as the government gaslights you and says it's at least 5 to 6% a year. But
and then as a rideshare driver, it's going to be a lot more because
much worse.
Maintenance. You think gas is bad? Maintenance has skyrocketed so much more compared to gas. So when it comes down to that, those types of things are going to eat into your pocket. You might actually be down around 10%.
Yeah, I agree, because tires, brake jobs, oil changes, I'm telling you, from 3 to 4 years ago, they all have doubled. Doubled. So that's 100% in 4 years, that's 25% inflation a year. So it's not easy to be a rideshare driver, but then millions and millions are still doing it. And by the way, folks, thank you for reading the most popular article last month. It was about, you all are complaining, but you're still turning the app on the next day. It was the most popular article on our blog. So please go subscribe to our blog if you want to get controversial articles like that I write. I got a lot of emails on that article. Like, yeah, Serge, I drive because I need it. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.